Hey, good morning. So my baby is sleeping and the time is 7:01 a.m. So I have a few more minutes and I wanted to put up a short video to discuss, my dog's just woken up too, so you'll hear her in the background, to discuss the desire to be a mother. Because first of all, I think it's something which is obviously built in and inherent, one. Two, we're often disconnected from it in some aspects, but clearly not in others. If you go through a journey like I and millions of other women in history have gone through as well, in order to conceive and to have a child. And I just thought it would be interesting to just share a few words about it, because if you tuned into this channel, presumably you want a baby and it comes from somewhere and it's quite primal. I think that, my experience is that the desire to be a mother and the process of pregnancy are sort of two different things. Like, you have the desire, then you get pregnant, and then there's a whole journey in the pregnancy, which I would say is even impossible to, it's not impossible to put into words, but it's an experience in itself, which is all encompassing and physical and emotional and spiritual and touches on all kinds of places of fear. So we're not going to talk about that today, but it's like, what's getting you started now? I think there are many women, I would definitely say women in my mother's generation, but I'm speaking from my own circle of experience. It's not, it might be my mother that I'm talking about here. But I think there are, and it's not even my right to talk personally about my mother because I'm not inside her head or her heart, so I don't know. She might say something different, but let's just say that there is certainly from generations of people who were born in the 1940s and 1950s, because there was I was brought up with an expectation that I'd get married and have kids. I just grew up in a different society where things don't work out the same way. But mostly, amongst my parents' friends, they all got married and had kids. Now, obviously, there could be a self-selecting group, but basically, people really didn't get divorced that often in their generation, and people got married. There was less. You had a certain life path, and it was expected that you got married. Now, I think inside that, there's also the full gamut, right? There's women who wanted to become mothers and get pregnant with their entire being. Like, if you imagine your being as kind of like a collection of straws, there's your there's your heart, there's your intuition, there's where you fit in the community, there's how you see yourself, there's how you see other people see you. Every part of them wanted to be a mother. But there are also people, and also this is just a people thing, that some people go through life kind of a little bit more automatically. In fact, we all go through life automatically, and life kind of just happens. And they didn't deliberately have this burning desire to have kids. And, even within people who want to have kids, there are varying degrees of it. If you're unfortunate enough to go through a period of infertility and then are blessed enough to become pregnant and have a child, you notice this when you're speaking with other mothers. So I remember I met up during my pregnancy. I'm still am part of a group of women who had babies were due to give birth the same date as me. And the woman who had recently been married was saying, 1 minute I got married, and then I was passing by the street and I looked at my reflection in the mirror, and suddenly I saw this pregnant woman, and I said to myself, who is that woman? And the other women who hadn't gone through infertility were kind of like nodding their heads in agreement. Whereas I tried for 6 years, so I did not have the same I did not have the same experience at all. So that doesn't mean that that person didn't want to be pregnant, but there are people who just kind of like trundle along, and it happens, and it's a biological process and it's natural, so why shouldn't it happen? I think though that there is such a thing as really wanting from your entire being to be pregnant, and there's also parts of you that kind of are very in touch with wanting to be a mother, and other parts at the same time are cut off. So speaking for myself, I'm the older sister, I'm the older cousin as well. And when I was 17, my youngest first cousin was born. No, when I was 16, my youngest first cousin was born. And I just loved being around kids. I always did. It was very natural. And one of the things that I actually found weird and hard was the periods in my life in my 20s when I had less natural connection with children. That could be just because, I was in an adult environment and I was far away from family who had kids. And so children just weren't in my vicinity. And it felt to me like a part of life in terms of kind of a natural balance was missing. About myself, I'm quite a clumsy person. I once did a silent meditation course, and my meditation pillow was at the back of the room. And after 9 days of silent meditation and me thinking that I was tiptoeing to the back of the room very quietly when I came in late, a little bit, just before the meditation bell set off, a few people told me how clumsy I was. I'm not a dainty person. But when I hold a baby, I feel I'm not going to trip up. I'm like the least clumsy person you can imagine. There's something about babies and children which just on a very physical level are very grounding for me. Now, not all women feel or felt like this before they got pregnant. So I always wanted to be a mother, but I have friends who I know someone, for example, she got pregnant the first time she tried when she was 40 through IUI, which is where they inject the sperm into you rather than going through the whole IVF process. And by her account, she never wanted to be a mother, and then sort of suddenly woke up at a certain birthday and really wanted to be a mother, like it was the most important thing in the world. I think some people want to be a mother. It can be quite a societal thing. Some people think that it's kind of a moral imperative almost, or part of being inside a society or community to bring children into the world. And I think there's a personal growth aspect of it that certainly for a certain stage in my life, that because it becomes mixed up with pain, there was this awareness that having a baby, it's like almost the most creative thing you can do, although it's really not your creation at all, but it's inside you. It's because every soul is unique, and everything else is just the same thing under the sun in a way. And that I think going through therapy and realizing how many knots I had and have to untangle from my own upbringing, that as much as I could work through all of that, by becoming a mother, more stuff is going to come up, and then the imperative is on me to sort of fix myself. And so in a sort of selfish way for personal growth, it's kind of important. It's like an experience that I believe it can't be replicated. It's unique in itself. There are people who disagree with me on that. I think for me, more than anything else, I just felt it from my gut and from my heart. And if the heart is the most strongest thing, I think it can take you through a lot. Now, of course, you might be asking through all of this, well, what about within a family? And what about with a partner? And I think, yes, like I wish that I had Well, I don't know. I think part of it is a matter of luck and part of it is not a matter of luck. And hello world, I'm sure you all have your judgments. I would have preferred it to be within a family environment, and maybe I meet someone as well. It's not out of the question as well that our family structure, meaning me and my son, will change in the future, or maybe it will, or maybe it won't. But and I think that was one of the hardest things on the fertility journey. I mean, and I'll talk about dating in another video, and I'll talk about many other topics about the milestones that people normally go through on the way to having a baby, with all of the societal hugs around making those massive commitments, like choosing a partner, getting engaged, getting married, buying a house, all of these things. If you have age-related infertility looming and you take the decision to have a baby, it's a lot. It really is a lot. And it's a lot. But we'll talk about all of that in another video. But I can hear him waking up now, so I hope that was useful. It was really, I just wanted to open up, and please comment below, and I'll put in a handle for how you can comment with an anonymous handle if it's too personal for you. If you're tuned into this video, where your desire to be a mother comes from, can you put it into words? Can you describe it? I know for me it's quite hard to describe. And some of the things that I mentioned, now that I have a baby, it's so all-encompassing being a mother that it's still all in there, to be honest. But the perspective of everything changes as well at every stage. For example, like I said, I have it now. I have the most wonderful thing, and I'm working on myself as well, not to lose sight of the glow of holding on to the knowledge of the wonderful thing during the more challenging moments, which actually don't come from him, it comes from the rest of the world. Anyhow, he's waking up. So good luck on your journey, and I hope this helped you get closer to yourself, and I'll post again. Bye.